Okay, and ready to go live?
Jeez.
We'll go live in
I can hear all the AC, dude. You want to shut off the AC?
plug it off. Ready? In 3, 2, and live.
All right, welcome to Problem Solver Politics live stream.
Hold on.
Oh.
Now we're live.
All right, welcome to the Problem Solver Politics live I almost said live screen. Oh, man. If there's any proof that we are streaming live, there's your proof right there. The most botched live stream intro you've ever seen in your life. Let's start that over again. Welcome to the Problem Solver Politics live stream. I am your host, Cardin Ellis, with none other than Cody the Oracle.
Hey, everyone.
And we're just going to sit around and we're going to chat a little bit about there's actually so much to talk about. I'm pretty excited to dive into the live stream, especially because we get to respond in real time to everybody asking us questions. So if you can, please jump on the chat, get in front of a keyboard, let us know what you're thinking. We had a couple ideas of some stuff that we wanted to talk about. However, we absolutely welcome everybody's input. Obviously, everybody is still dissecting the debates. The debates themselves are still old news. But just like when a stone drops in a still lake, there's ripples that spread and only get larger the further they go out. I am actually intrigued to see the impact that Andrew Yang is making on the political sphere based upon how he interacts with the pundits afterward. I was actually less entertained and less engrossed, shall we say, by Yang's actual debate performance, which was like watching a teacher in charge of a clown show, you know, as much as I was his conversation afterwards with Anderson Cooper. Unfortunately, a lot of people had actually tuned out by the time he had his sit-down interview with Anderson Cooper and Van Jones and all these other guys who oftentimes will actually clown around themselves. But I have to tell you, you cannot look at Anderson Cooper's response to Andrew Yang and not see how he is completely bringing new ideas to the table. New ideas so new and conversation topics so fresh that Anderson Cooper literally at one point stops in the middle of the debate and says, not debate, but the Q&A, and says, I really don't know what to respond to you right now because what you're saying just sounds so rational and just makes sense. And I don't know why we're not doing that. I mean, to have Anderson Cooper tongue-tied really is kind of like that new kid that shows up and that makes the professional stumble with his crossover. Did you like that sports reference, Cody?
I guess you can call it a sports reference, yeah.
Okay. You didn't like it. Scale of 1 to 10, not too great?
Oh, man.
Oh, man.
Fell.
Is your mic dropping again?
You got to talk for a while.
Oh, geez. Well, usually I'm the one that helps you fix it. Okay. So anyway, are we actually playing the CNN clip? Okay, cool. Well, actually, while Cody fixes his microphone, I'm going to respond to a couple of... Oh, my goodness gracious. So many people have already said hello. Okay, where do we go from here? How does Yang qualify for the next poll? How do we vote on the poll? Okay, polls find you, unfortunately. That's actually a really good question, AQI. You have to be sought out in order to find these polls, which is really frustrating because their methodologies vary in a very, I don't want to say frustrating twice in the same sentence, but in a way that questions how they truly represent the heart and mind of the American people. Because, for example, for 3 or 4 polls in a row, Andrew Yang was getting 0% on the Hill poll. And he was getting...
That, dude. He was getting absolutely savage in those Hill polls. It was actually really funny. I have no idea why his Hill poll performance was so bad.
Yeah.
But it was one of my friends actually texted me and said, I don't think Andrew Yang has gotten more than 0% once since they started doing these polls. And we went through and looked and yeah, he had basically 0% in every single poll. Oh, my camera's on myself. Fix that in a second. So yeah, it was really encouraging to see him. If you guys want, really quickly, I'm going to see if I can roll that Anderson Cooper interview. I'm sure a lot of you get to see it already, but I'll see if I can roll it in the background for us. So give me 1 second on that.
And then I think I have to talk over it once every 30 seconds in order to make sure the algorithms don't think I'm cheating, right?
Get talking, man.
Is with us. Thanks so much for being with us.
Oh, it's great to be here. Thanks for having me.
How did you feel it went tonight?
I thought it went great. It's great to be back here in Detroit. I've spent the last
I mean, a
9
lot of
years
this is just,
here,
you know,
as part
typical
of Venture for
openings
America,
that all
so
of
it feels
us
like a very familiar
that have been
home
following
state.
the Yang campaign
just
are
in terms
familiar
of-
with.
I feel like in the first debate, you didn't get a lot of time. I feel like you got more time, and you certainly made a strong impression, I think, on a lot of people in the room, and I assume in the viewing audience at home. There was the line you started
Look at him, still no
at one
neckwear.
point you called yourself the opposite
Andrew
of Donald
Yang,
Trump, an Asian
going
man who likes
Tylus.
math.
Yeah. And
So-
math is an acronym. It stands for Make America Think Harder. We have to start.
I'm
actually
surprised he
thinking
didn't have to
about the real
explain what an
problems
acronym is
and
to
not
Anderson
lapsing
Cooper.
into the
He's not an
very
idiot.
problems that
No,
unfortunately
just
we're being
kidding.
told by the current
He
president.
is a
Well,
product
that-
of nepotism, but he isn't an
Yeah.
idiot.
There's a lot of voices on a stage. I think yours is such an important voice because I think you're raising
This is
issues
what's
that
interesting.
nobody else is talking about. And
Listen
you're
to what he
looking at
says
it
right
from
now.
a perspective that nobody else is really looking at. I mean, I feel like at times you're taking a kind of a bird's eye view and saying, wait a minute, we're all just on this stage and wearing makeup and talking points and missing out on all these huge things which are about to hit us in the head.
I mean, what
Yeah,
a
spending
compliment.
7 years in places like Detroit and Cleveland and St. Louis, like I saw the ground zero of what's happened to so many of these communities in the aftermath of the automation of these manufacturing jobs. And the
Hey, can we
retraining
pause
programs that
for
were
just
put in
1
place
second,
were
Cody?
largely ineffective. When
Sorry,
I dug
dude,
into
no,
the
can't do it.
numbers,
Oh. I mean, let's just think about that for a second. Anderson Cooper is a media wonk who is completely engrossed in what is happening around the world every single day. Now, his interpretations may be wildly incorrect sometimes, and half this junk he's probably fed by his producer. So whenever we get frustrated with Anderson, we're getting frustrated with the tip of the iceberg instead of the iceberg. But at the end of the day, he's a wildly talented individual. Who is obviously very intelligent and knows a lot about the current events of the world. And for him to say, wow, you are the candidate that seems to be taking a bird's eye view, and he even made that hand gesture of insinuating that Andrew Yang,
The claw hand gesture.
yeah, the claw. But he literally showed, wow, you are actually above the fray of all this childish clown behavior. And it goes beyond just maturity. Isn't that ultimately the epitome of what we hope our president will be? Is somebody who is simultaneously a wise elder, okay, while being the warrior priest and the shaman of the tribe, you know what I'm saying? But don't we really hope that a president will be this mature figure that stands kind of above our individual state and local municipal squabbles to see the larger problems that are coming so that he can then, as the chief of the tribe, defend the tribe? Now, yes, I know chiefs are not elected and, so on and so forth, and this is a rough and terrible analogy. But at the end of the day, that individual compliment right there is a compliment that was not being given artificially, because Andrew Yang's not an establishment guy. Okay, Anderson Cooper's not trying to score points with him to get an exclusive interview. Okay, and while Kamala Harris is patting herself on the back in her post-game interview saying, oh, well, Tulsi just went after me because I'm a top-tier candidate. I mean,
She
when you're-
never addressed anything Tulsi said about
Yeah.
her, by the way. She never actually said none of that's true. She never said, there's more to the story. She just said, you weren't in my shoes. And she never addressed any of it. So that was really funny to me, was how, I don't know, like there was so much criticism of how Kamala Harris handled it. And then for the fact that she did this a day later, over 24 hours later, hasn't addressed any of the charges Tulsi laid on her directly. Or at least disputed it. Actually, we do not have a Patreon. We're hoping to get one set up. And
Well, that's
if you
actually
guys
the-
would like to donate, I think I'll post it in the thing. It's actually here. I'll post the link for you guys in 1 second. We're still waiting on the I hope it's what just a very long queue time and nothing else is up. Very long queue time to get some of our AdSense stuff approved so we can start doing monetization on YouTube. Unfortunately, we would definitely love to be moving.
all right, welcome
further
back to
towards
Problem
that.
Solver Politics.
Hey, you guys just heard part of our episode. Anyway, I'm gonna post the link down there. If you guys would like to donate, we appreciate it so much. It helps us so much with just
Well,
doing
yeah.
this stuff and time and everything. It makes it all. It's just good to see you guys love us so much. So anyway, there's the link. If you'd like to donate, please there. If you do donate tonight, wow, I can't speak. Just put any question or anything you want us read in the description, and of course we'll read it off on stream for you. Still working on getting the rest of our stream details dialed in, but that is where you will find us. So.
Yeah,
Again. And we love you
and-
guys, all the support already. We've already gotten some donors, and we appreciate it so much. Just want to say that out loud, that we really appreciate and love you guys so much for doing that.
Yes, we very much do. It's actually the biggest fringe benefit of having this podcast, at first, it was our internal desire to create and to opine. We actually I had a radio interview on my terrestrial radio station, at a radio station here in Los Angeles, FM 98.1, in which I had interviewed Dave Rubin. And
hold up. I also have the winners and losers from CNN when you want to talk about that.
Yes. And in that interview with Dave Rubin, I had actually said, what do you say to these people that are in this, what Andrew Yang would call the exhausted majority? Those of us that grew up with very liberally social ideals, but a deep-seated understanding and intelligent understanding that you have to pay your bills and basic fiscal responsibility has to be maintained. Like, what do we do in this clown world where just everything's off the rails? And he had said, get brave now. You'll actually notice, oh, shoot, I didn't turn the light on for the live stream. Another proof that we're live. This actual Get Brave Now poster was an inspiration. Was inspired by my interview with Dave Rubin. It was a lot of the reason why we started this podcast. But in my conversation with him, and we would like to know your opinion as an audience. Actually, before I ask you for your opinion, I do have to say. And
also, JFB, we are working right now to get some hats made up for you guys. We have a couple renders up. Honestly, feel bad we're slacking on it. Love to get you guys some merch stuff. Again, we just love hearing what you guys love us. But yeah, we are working on getting this out.
Well,
for you
we
guys.
ordered the
Keep an eye
first.
out.
We ordered the first 10, and then we've got the second order of 50, but it takes like 6 to 8 weeks, and that was like 3 weeks ago. So it's probably going to be here in the next 10 to 14 days. So anyway, one of the best parts of this podcast is, it was derived from an interview that I had with Dave Rubin to Get Brave Now. And this is kind of the manifestation of getting brave now and speaking out. But we love the interaction. Holy crap. Our audience is freaking rad. And the things that they bring to the table and the points they make are totally awesome. This is the biggest fringe benefit that I never anticipated, is how much I enjoy actually interacting with our audience.
Really quickly, I want to shout out, again, we're going to get some more stuff set up for this. But shout out to, I hope I'm pronouncing this correctly, Tua Zhang. Thank you for the donation. Very much appreciate it.
Yeah.
And if I pronounce it wrong, please let me know. Tua Zhang, that's how I'm reading it. If I'm pronouncing it wrong, please let me know, but we appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Well, and I'm actually pretty proud with our attempt on some of these Asian names. We both grew up in Los Angeles.
Well, I have to admit, from being a big Dota 2 fan, I hear a lot of Chinese names. So names that I don't know if they're Chinese or not, but I'm just saying that's helped me a little bit with some of that more Eastern Asian pronunciation. I hope, at least. That's my opinion. That's my thought, is that reading a lot of these Dota 2 names, I'm recognizing some of these names. So please let me know if I'm wrong, please.
So one of the things that we'd like to know is we were actually straying away originally from Patreon because of that whole debacle with Dave Rubin, Jordan Peterson, Sargon of Akkad, so on and so forth, their manifest observable behavior clause, which makes it so they can just kick you off the platform for no good reason other than they don't like something politically that you said, even on other platforms. And it's an absolutely arbitrary rule that Patreon has. If you're not familiar with it, go look up mob platform rules, manifest observable behavior. It's literally why we signed the Magna Carta. It's just a fiefdom over there at Patreon. It is the most popular, so we've wondered if we should sign up or if we should go with an alternative like just direct PayPal, as we are doing now, or with Subscribestar or some of those other platforms. If you guys have platforms that you prefer, please, by all means, opine. Cody, you're flashing me down for something. What's up?
Yeah. Well, no, sorry. I saw someone in chat just mention this. I want to actually shout out whoever it was. Someone in chat just mentioned that I believe it was... Oh, man, I lost it now. I'm trying to increase the volume for you guys. Please let me know if the volume is too loud or not. We're getting just crackling on our headphones. So it could be your headphones. Again, this is one of the reasons why we're doing this stream tonight, guys. We want to hang out with you guys, love talking to you, but we also want to make sure we have all of our audio stuff dialed in. So we are.
Oh my gosh, look at this. He says, you guys are the best garage-based political podcast by two unemployed millennials out there. Actually, no.
Actually, Cardin's a business owner, this conservative. This Republican over here.
I was about going to say, I sweat my butt off 60 to, during the summers, oh my gosh, 70 at least hours a week running my own company that has multiple employees that I started with my father that I'm also very proud of, which is a lot of the reason why I have some of my very fiscally conservative and I wouldn't say anti-government, but libertarian views in terms of competence of government, because I have to deal on the daily with in between, depending on the day or the week, 7 to 11 different governmental institutions every single day. And just trust me, you don't think that you're a Republican / conservative, start a company. So anyway, with that said, Cody did actually have to try and describe me today to somebody on Twitter that was actually asking to describe who we are, other than a garage-based political show by two unemployed millennials. And Cody, how did you say that you think you would describe my political positions in a sentence?
Yeah, well, I think you're someone who would have considered themselves a lifelong Republican who just over the years has gotten involved in politics and paid more attention to politics and realized, oh wait, they're not actually any better either. So
The only reason I wouldn't say lifelong is because I don't know if I could say that my
lifelong's
mother.
a bit of an overstatement.
I'd say maybe in my adult
era, yes.
Yeah, in
as
my
an
adult
voter.
years.
It's your voting age, yes.
But I mean, I fought so hard with the SCV GOP that I got voted off of the local GOP board.
We're not getting into that. We have spoken enough about your escapades.
Well, no, I'm just saying it goes to show that. I mean, I think you said that you thought I was disillusioned with the party, which to a certain extent is true.
Well, I mean, in general, you've seen for this one thing I think is really funny. I've seen a lot of this stuff happen with people who were Trump supporters now that Trump's been elected. One of my favorites is I don't know how much you guys actually follow Donald Trump. I know a lot of you guys aren't big fans of him, but it's been fun to watch. While Trump was running, Ann Coulter was a huge fan of Donald Trump. Ann Coulter wanted a wall built so bad. And it's been hilarious. I remember there was one tweet where something atrocious happened at the border, and Ann Coulter just retweets that, like, it wouldn't be worse if Hillary was president. And it got a bunch of support. So I think it's funny that there's a lot of people saying on the left that Donald Trump has gone too far. But then it's funny, a lot of his base is saying he hasn't gone far enough. Like, and the Ann Coulters of the world are still upset at him. So I just think it's really funny to always see that kind of parallel between there's always like this. Like, I mean, whenever you're president, everyone's coming at you, you're president, but it's just funny seeing it happen that way.
Well, and honestly, my disillusionment is not with Donald Trump, actually. I think Trump is Trump, and there's some phenomenal things he's done that he's not getting credit for. There are some cringeworthy things he's done that deserve to be called out, but he's Donald Trump. My disillusionment just comes with the party. There is not a single idea that Andrew Yang has proposed, aside from maybe some of the media, Second Amendment, and perchance.
Well, hold up. This is what I was trying to get to before. I'm sorry. Someone asked us on Twitter earlier. I'm trying to find out who asked us in chat. I can't see you. Please let me know. So we actually did a video about this a while ago. This is Andrew Yang's news ombudsman thing.
Yeah.
And there's one of the kind of MAGA YouTubers or Twitter users, Millie Weaver. She approached Yang and made some big attack on him. So I really quickly wanted to show this.
Well, I wanted to finish the CNN interview, but you're already going on to this. That's fine.
Oh, I thought that one was over.
No, I had only said press
pause. Why do you think
pause.
that we need to have a news ombudsman in America?
I thought it was over.
We're just about to enter the era of deep fakes where we're not going to be able to make heads or tails of the stuff we're
That's
seeing.
That's a good answer.
Online.
Deep
and
fakes,
we know
yeah,
the
it's
Russians
real.
have already been hacking us. It's going to get worse when literally you could have a picture of me saying words, a video, and like it could be something that gets doctored. So we need to start having countermeasures in place. That's why I believe in it.
Do you think it's really good to be policing the press, though, and speech?
Dude, that's the guy.
Do you think it's good to be policing free speech?
He is a
Zach,
champ
Is it
campaign
really
manager.
He's running a good campaign right now.
Thank you. The goal is to protect the American people. All right.
But isn't it, you guys are supposed to protect our rights, right, as Americans?
I mean, one thing I will say,
Our
it is a
right
valid
to free
criticism
speech.
of Andrew Yang. He has not spoken as much about censorship, but he has spoken about alternative ways of dealing with these big
and we
companies. So
actually-
I can give him a pass there. But yeah, I will admit, though, that is a lane of attack. You have not spoken enough about what you will do about these tech companies and how they control our speech. I mean, recently, really quickly, sorry, I know I'm cut up, but there's one thing. Oh my God, I have to admit, if I ever get a name wrong in a video, please guys, I want you to know I'm just terrible with names. I remember nobody's name ever. But there's another guy who's pro Andrew Yang YouTube videos. I've seen some of his videos. I mean, he's a very, I don't say mild-mannered, but I don't believe he was actually guilty of hate speech. And YouTube blocked him for 6 days because of a video he made, I believe, about Tulsi Gabbard. And I'm trying to find you right now.
Well,
man.
and
I feel so
you
bad.
and I actually did
Steve Danley. There we go. Steve Danley. He's the guy who's also taking donations. He's actually doing targeted pro Andrew Yang ads, which I think is so cool in areas where he needs help. Andrew Yang needs help. But yeah, I just want to kind of throw this out there while we're talking about it. Sorry guys, I'm still negotiating around here. Anyway, so here's this tweet. This was Steve Danley on Twitter. And he says, I'm banned for posting anything for 6 days because my analysis of Kamala and Tulsi was hate speech. YouTube is effing scary. Don't hate us, YouTube, even though maybe I agree with that. They were at the mercy of this we are at the mercy of this company. And it really is. I mean, I believe there was allegations Tulsi Gabbard was intentionally pulled off trending on Twitter during the debates. Assad was trending, but Tulsi wasn't. Don't know why you'd say Assad, Tulsi without Assad. Assad without Tulsi. There's no reason to bring him up, but if you're attacking her, you would. But yeah. Sorry, I just want to throw stuff out there that, like, speaking of this stuff, It is a valid lane of criticism. Yang hasn't been as strong on it. At the same time, Andrew Yang's also being affected by it, so I can't imagine he's a big fan of it.
Yeah, and if you guys have not seen, we have a podcast actually, and it was one of our first probably 10 or 20 podcasts on the media ombudsman. Yeah, we totally talked about.
Someone in chat just said he might have removed that from his platforms. To be frank, I haven't looked for it in a while. It was one of our first podcasts. And we actually talked about it, and it was interesting because he said you need to pump money into local journalism, but there was the argument that he did. Oh, whoever pointed that out, sorry, I missed your name. That is very interesting.
Oh wow,
he has removed that off his website. If you go to his website and type in ombudsman with Control F, nothing comes up. So if you guys want to see more about his ombudsman,
did you spell it right? Ombudsman.
I believe I spelled it right. Yeah, I mean, how about just OMB? One thing comes up, combat. So no, it's not there.
Okay.
So actually, I'm gonna pull our video real quick and post it in the description. If you're interested in what he means by that, I'll show you our video about it. But yeah, that is interesting. He has pulled that from his website.
Yeah, he basically suggested making a small government bureaucracy that specifically targets.
It was problematic.
Fake news.
I do agree. It was a problematic plan.
Yeah, we argued it quite thoroughly.
I hope we did. I hope it wasn't a video of us saying, yeah, it's a good idea. Now we go back and say, anyway, I'll be posting it in chat in a minute. You guys can see.
Unless you edited out something I said. My only problem was that I would rather have a wide open playing field that anybody can say anything. However, yes, there is the concern for deep fakes. However, I believe more in humans' ingenuity and the ability to prove or disprove deep fakes, or make some kind of stamp, or make some kind of, just like campaign videos say, I approve this message. I just trust that some hacker somewhere knows how to get over the deep fakes issue than a government bureaucracy would know how to. But anyway, we're not going there.
Yeah, but I'm posting the link right now. If you guys do want to see more about our video on the ombudsman, I just posted it in the chat right now. It's actually one of our earlier videos. So if you guys want to see one of the earlier things we ever did, it's right there.
Yeah. So anyway, let's go. Can we go back to the Anderson Cooper CNN debate? Not debate, sorry, but
debate. Sorry. Oh wow, sorry. Before we do that, I got a couple of things to say first. One, shout outs. Thank you very much, Paulie Lee, for donating.
Yes,
appreciate
Paulie.
it very much.
You're awesome, Paulie.
And we actually have one more.
All right, just from the chat. Oh, hey, thanks, Daniel.
Daniel Tice, love the channel. Made a PayPal account just to donate Yang 2020. Thank you very much, Daniel.
Awesome. That's coming out of Missouri.
Yeah.
Okay, hey, my sister went to SLU, brother. Good job.
I always appreciate it.
St. Louis University.
We love seeing this from you guys so much. So thank you guys so much.
Missouri's underrated, man. Missouri's a cool place.
That's a good question. Why do we want to devote so much of our time to Andrew Yang? Kind of a funny story. We actually started the channel and we had no we're going to talk about on our very first
you guys actually had a lot to do with that. I mean, we just posted the Nixon UBI video about that time Nixon posted UBI, and usually we get over 1,000 views in the first hour that our video goes up.
That's our hope, yeah.
That's our hope. And, some of our videos are getting almost 100,000 hits. Others are getting 40 or 50. I think that one's still in the hundreds.
It did better. We posted it. I mean, the people who did watch it, I saw you guys comments. I saw you guys did appreciate it. But no, I would just say the funny thing is, if you look at our very first video, I believe our very first video on our channel is Who is Andrew Yang? We honestly kind of started the channel and didn't really know what we want to talk about. We want to talk about politics, but we didn't want to just talk about what everyone talks about. And
well, it's a choice. Do you talk about Trump and just be a drop in the ocean?
Well, no, but the funny thing was, I went to Cardin and I said, "Hey, dude, have you heard of this Andrew Yang guy?" He said, "No." And our first video is just Who is Andrew Yang? And I said, "Dude, let's do a video. We'll talk about this Andrew Yang guy. I think you'll think it's interesting." And we've been following his campaign since then. And
we were one of the first people to interview him in Los Angeles.
We actually have. So we watched it, and ever since then, it has been just kind of. The more we follow his campaign, the more we've been interested in everything he has to talk about. And it's been a very kind of organic thing. Like I said, it's not anything like that we were just, oh, cool, we have to make a channel to support Andrew Yang. It was more like, let's talk about Andrew Yang. And the more we talked about him, the more we read about him, the more we learned about him. Like I said, we met him in Los Angeles. We spoke with him. The more we saw about him, we're like, hold on a minute. This guy's got some really good ideas and really want to see more from him. And like I said, neither of us are really necessarily the biggest fans of the Republican Party either. Neither of us are Democrats, full disclosure. If none of you know that. None of us are like about registered Democrats. We just aren't necessarily Republicans either. And so meeting him really was kind of an interesting thing. One of the cool things we thought to this day I appreciate is just how I think it's really cool seeing how Andrew Yang has always been, his whole campaign, he's just been an out-and-out capitalist. I know, look, I am a capitalist. Because I love the idea of kind of cutting through those labels, and that's something we've talked about before, and I just love is Andrew Yang is kind of those people that always try to give him to play at labels, identity politics. And he just keeps saying, look, I don't think it's if we help everyone, we help everyone, right? What's wrong with that? And that's been the thing that's won us over because, yeah, I think more and more both of us, I don't want to put words in your mouth, both of us realize, like, I'm so much more for helping everyone and just making this a better country than anything else. And that kind of was that original Trump message without any. So now just seeing someone propose ideas that seem better than what Trump's message was, like, oh, yeah, these ideas might work. We've become big fans and we've just kind of stuck with them. I think the more and more we've learned about Andrew Yang, the more we want to cover about him. It's more the more we do cover, the more we like him.
Well, we talked about this at the very beginning. It's not even like, I'm not criticizing anybody else's channel, but it's like Nerds for Yang. He's doing fundraisers for Yang, and
well, I like him though. I think he's doing great.
I love him too, but it's like it's obviously a fan show. We had stumbled upon Andrew Yang as a direct result of the fact that he was the only person that had substantial platform topics to even talk about. One of our first videos was joking around about how Beto O'Rourke didn't have a single thing posted on his website.
You could buy things
for the first 2 or 3 weeks. That was his platform. Like, if you wanted to talk about Beto O'Rourke and his candidacy, there was nothing else to talk about other than his identity and whether or not his first name was correctly representative of who he was. According to
Robert. I think Robert's a great way to describe Beto O'Rourke.
Yeah,
he is Robert O'Rourke, the Irishman.
So he had no substance on his website, even though he's asking for the highest office in the land. But he did have merch, and he was selling merch, and so we had really become attracted to Andrew Yang.
Sorry, I don't want to interrupt, but I got some.
But you will anyway.
Yes, I got good news though. It's a happy interruption. When you hear why I'm interrupting, you're going to say, "Oh, cool! I'm glad you interrupted."
Okay, what is it?
I'm interrupting for 2 reasons. One, we got a couple more donations. Again, I'm working on getting something set up for the stream. It's a little more conventional, guys, where it shows up on stream. We're still working through some of this early going pains.
Joshua, thanks, brother.
Yeah, well, first I want to go. First one, I believe, was Yen Lin. If I'm pronouncing it wrong, please let me know. But I believe Yen Lin. Thank you. Drawn Andradis. Love that. And then Joshua Ring. And then here was with John. Oh, sorry. I feel bad saying people's full names, but we're on the internet. Sorry, guys. Anyway, John posted a link to a video and asked us to break down the video. And I'm going to play the video right now. I've seen part of this. It is kind of funny. Just an overview. It's an interaction between Andrew Yang, the media, and Mr. Cory Booker. So let's listen, guys.
Oh, when Cory Booker interrupted him?
Yeah. Well, yes. Sorry. I'm put on screen.
I think you have 3 of the 4 polls you need to make it into September. There's some disputing, I guess, which surveys count.
We thought we had 4. We'll have 4 by the end of this week. So, if you get called by a pollster, you know who to say, Andrew Yang, and then we'll be in great shape.
So this was your second debate.
He's got a great personality. He always has a great personality.
The second presidential debate ever. That's right.
So, I mean, you're
by the way,
as close to a mere
champion.
mortal as it gets on that stage
ever.
tonight because you haven't done this as a part of your career for that long.
He's done it as not
I'm more of a
president.
civilian than most anyone else.
So, what is it like?
I like those demeaning line of questioning.
So
you're not a real politician.
Never done this before last month. Like, what's been the most interesting or awkward part of this whole experience?
Well, I made mention of it a bit on the stage, which is that I'm not used to wearing makeup. I'm not used to doing a lot of the things that it turns out that national politicians do routinely. And so I've had to develop a whole new set of behaviors that that because they're new to me, I still.
Huh. Okay.
Here we go.
Oh,
Cory Booker organically burst in. Just a totally average everyman Cory Booker. Which honestly, hold up, we'll get into Cory Booker opinions later, but
okay.
As passive aggressive
do this too. During the commercial breaks. Are you running to the men's room, or do you guys talk to each other, or what?
Okay, so we get our makeup freshened up, embarrassing but true. We're like embarrassing but true. We're like race cars where they do a little freshening up. And then we talk to each other sometimes. So it's not like we all glare at each other during the breaks.
I just want to say I didn't see him go to the bathroom at all. He's got an iron bladder. I'm pretty impressed.
Okay.
Iron bladder. Wow. Way to go, Cory.
Okay.
Andrew Yang, thank you very much.
So much.
Senator Booker.
I'll clear up your Cory.
Yes.
Come on down. Come on down.
Oh, please, Mr. Senator, please,
Wait,
politician.
did Cory
right.
just basically crowd him out?
Essentially, yeah.
So my first question for you.
The funny thing,
what
too,
flavor
is you
is
saw the
Coke?
line of questioning. There's Zach, by the way. Shout out, Zach. Here's again. He drops in the Kyrie laugh right there.
Wait, who edited this?
This video is posted by the Filth Los Angeles. don't know much about him, but I posted the video. So anyway, so one of our donors asked to post that video, play that video. I thought it was funny. Honestly, dude, I think Cory Booker is more clueless. I think he kind of knew what he was doing, but he's also kind of just a clueless dude when it comes to that. We were actually talking about doing a video. Maybe we'll just talk about it on stream one day. But Cory Booker seems, by all accounts, to be a good person. So I think he's just kind of a weirdo.
Well, no, let's just tackle this before we go back to my CNN video that we started the live stream with, and we were gonna get through. I promise.
Like I said, man, this is a stream. Whatever the conversation.
It's going organically. I get it. But me and Cody were joking before we started the live stream about something called the Peter Principle. There was some social scientist somewhere with the name Peter that had figured out that generally people stop rising in their organizations, like climbing up the corporate ladder or climbing up a bureaucratic ladder or climbing up really any successful ladder within an organization, once they've reached one step beyond their true competence. Meaning, if you're a really good salesman, you'll go from being on the sales floor to being a supervisor, and you'll go from being a supervisor maybe to be a manager, because those are areas where your talent of interacting with people can really help you. But then once you get promoted to go work in the offices where more managerial skills are needed, as a director, for example, you might actually do very, very poorly because your skill set is not managerial. It's actually in sales. And just because you're a good salesman doesn't mean you necessarily should be put in a managerial directorship, okay? And oftentimes the people that fail in those positions, it's because they were promoted one step further than where they really should be according to their aptitude. And we were just joking around that Cory Booker is just like a perfect example of the Peter Principle, because apparently if you look this guy up,
I mean, pull it up real quick for you guys.
Rhodes Scholar, okay, Rhodes Scholar, went to Stanford on a football scholarship, so he's a total athlete, all right? And on top of that,
here's the one I love.
When he was a nobody, in Newark.
Hold up,
he saves a woman from a burning building. You don't even need to go to the New York Times.
Yeah,
I'll just tell him what happened.
But the picture helps.
Is as a kind of a political nobody, okay?
Well, I think he might have been mayor at the time. So hold on.
Well, yeah, but mayor.
He
of
was
Newark,
mayor at the time. Yeah.
He's not mayor of New York. He's mayor of Newark.
What the thing?
It's like the JV of the JV team. I lived in New York.
Oh, wait, here's the commercial. Oh, sorry. I don't like the Daily Beast that much, but they have a great article. They cover through 9 like great things. And again, obviously, guys, you might know if you saw our debate coverage. We're not Cory Booker fans, but I do think this is one of the things we like to do on our channel. We don't like to pretend that these people have horns because we don't agree with their politics. Like Cory Booker, by all accounts, you know what? Seems like a great dude. Like I'm not necessarily. I wouldn't vote for him for president, but here's one of the stories I like about him. Let's see if we can find this. This is another story about him. Cory Booker rescues a freezing dog and 9 other things he saved. So we'll just go through this real quick with you guys. Let's see. A freezing dog is one thing he saved.
A neighbor in a burning home.
Yeah, after returning home last April from running the city, Booker discovered his neighbor's home was on fire, promptly darted into the building, found the woman who was living there, and just grabbed her and whipped her out of the bed, he said. As America swooned, okay. I don't think that's a fact, but whatever. He suffered second-degree burns on his hand. Oh, poor baby. But this is Cory Booker, and of course, I know that. And yesterday, all my problems were really big to me. He said the next day, things felt a lot more clear. Anyway, though, I just like to say, like,
he rescues a lady from a burning building. He saves a freezing dog.
How many people in the chat room would run to a burning building? Honestly, let us know. I wouldn't. I mean, I like to think I would. Maybe I wouldn't. But Cory Booker, by all accounts, is a great dude. So I just wanted to put that out there. Wouldn't vote for him, but by all accounts, great dude.
Well, Joshua brings up that he's dating Rosario Dawson.
No way, he's dating Rosario Dawson.
Oh, come on, that's old news. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I forgot that was the whole, hey, guys, I'm totally heterosexual. Look at my heterosexual girlfriend. It was really bizarre. I remember on the way, I'm not saying he is gay, but the way they unfolded it was really bizarre. It was like, who would press releases?
It's almost like I
have a date. Like, that's not like a press release. That's literally a Frasier joke. That's actually a joke from the show Frasier. He calls his friends and says, I have a date, guys. So, yeah, that's kind of funny.
Yeah. So, anyway, we were joking about the Peter Principle, and there was another story where, for example, after Hurricane Katrina, he turned his Twitter account into a kind of like just a community chat board, and there was some woman that needed diapers.
Yeah, Hurricane Sandy.
After Hurricane Sandy, yeah, and he said, that's it. I'm going to go give her diapers myself. And, some people might say, oh, that was a great PR move. But no, it actually seems like this guy genuinely has a very, very big heart. And it unfortunately gets lost in very poor ideologies marked with theatrics like his infamous Spartacus moment.
He's not president, yeah.
Yeah, but so we don't view presidential material, but we definitely view really good, kind-hearted leadership material. And so we do like to highlight that. But anyway, as I started out, and I swear I'm going to get through this because we're talking about Andrew Yang and the ripples of the stone in a lake of still water. For those of us that are just joining on the live stream, we're still analyzing not his debate performance. That's so 24 hours ago and 36 hours ago. We're analyzing the ripples that his performance has made. And I had said previously in the live stream that I am amazed. Just like a rock dropped in still water creates ripples, and those ripples get bigger as they go further out, I am intrigued seeing not what he said during the debates in like the 2 minutes that he had, okay, but how the pundits, serious individuals, don't know how to understand him because his ideas are so new and fresh. And infamously, we started with the first minute of Anderson Cooper's interview where he literally said, Anderson said this, you're the only person on stage that seems to be taking a bird's eye view of the current scene and saying, hey, this is coming, obviously referencing automation. And then interestingly enough, if we can continue with the Anderson Cooper interview, you look at a point where Anderson Cooper literally is left speechless, and notice how much all the other policy wonks at the discussion table don't speak and don't interject because they're completely stumped.
The truth is that human beings are not infinitely malleable or adaptable. I mean, I was at a truck stop in Iowa the other week, and if you tried to sell retraining to that group of truckers,
people don't want to interrupt him because they're like, shoot, when he's talking, he's like, I don't want to talk. I don't want to jump in that. He might own me.
And if you think about the people you know, the people in your life, maybe your parents, and you were to say, hey, like reinvent yourself, it's a very, very tall order for many.
I would not be able to reinvent. I have no actual skill, so I could not be retrained.
Which actually brings up a good point. What if Anderson Cooper were forced to all of a sudden be blue collar? He couldn't do it.
See, this is not a skill that's applicable in any other way.
But he's a product of nepotism.
We'll talk more with Andrew Yang.
He's another one of those people where it's like, how did Anderson Cooper get his start? Oh, his parents are like senators. Okay.
No, it's Gloria Vanderbilt is his mother.
Okay, yeah. Oh, whoops, sorry.
Yeah, he's a Vanderbilt brother.
I was like the school,
we are coming
like
up
the
on
college.
the top of the hour to 1 a.m. here in Detroit. Back with me, Andrew Yang.
Note that he's on camera at 1 a.m. But, he is polling like 6. I'm not going to blame CNN that much, but still, he's on camera late. Like, it's tough people to see this stuff.
Raise your hand in the crowd if you've seen stores closing where you live.
It's a big one.
It is not just
New York Times
Amazon is closing 30%
whatever.
of America's stores and malls and paying zero in taxes while doing it. We need to do the opposite of much of what we're doing right now, and the opposite of Donald Trump is an Asian man who likes math.
You said we need to do the opposite of what we are doing right now. In what way? What do you mean?
So okay, can you just pause that? Can you just look, there's Anderson Cooper, and for any of us that have done live television or live streams, as we have obviously here, you stumble up so often, but you can totally tell that Anderson Cooper is used to a certain set of talking points from the left and a certain set of talking points from the right that date all the way back to the William F. Buckley versus the author of I can't remember the famous Buckley debate with the author. I can't remember, but they're used to these 60-year-old talking points and how these talking points interact with each other. And it's almost like a guy playing fantasy football that already knows all the people in the league, but all of a sudden there's this freshman that has a physical skill nobody ever heard of. It's like when Wilt Chamberlain started dunking in the NBA. Another sports reference for Cody.
I don't think Wilt Chamberlain started dunking. I think he was one of the most dominant players, but I think he created this.
I think wasn't he the first one to dunk? And when this first person dunked, the announcer didn't know how to announce it. Yeah. They had to come up with a new term for slam dunking.
You can honestly attribute probably 90% of things that happened in the NBA to Wilt Chamberlain. He was a great thing. One last thing I want to jump into, and this might be an interesting thing. We can get into more later. Once again, thank you, Daniel, for donating. And he said he had a comment, and he said, I go to SLU high school, and SLU is on my list, so I am all for lowering the voting age to 16. We actually did a video on this. Both of us disagree with that, but honestly, man, like I could see both perspectives. I could see the debate. We just
I'm okay with maybe voter regging at 16, voter registration. But I mean, if we don't allow 16-year-olds to get tattoos, like
it's one of those things, dude. Where honestly, like I
think there should be a test. I'm with Joe Rogan. Joe Rogan literally says, Joe Rogan literally says, I think there should be just a basic civics test.
Daily Show, yeah.
And there's plenty of 16-year-olds that could pass that civics test, though. And I literally think that you should know about what your vote is about to do before you should be able to cast a vote. There shouldn't be a religious or an intelligence test. That's unconstitutional. But there should be some kind of civics understanding test over the DMV.
Maybe, how about just like, I don't like saying high school diploma, but like that isn't as rigid as 18, just when you've graduated high school. Because I think the way I look at it is when you've graduated high school, you've completed state education. So just a system that says once you've completed mandatory, not mandatory, but the general state provided education, you are in the vote. I'm okay with that. It does, I don't know though. Then same thing to think about. What if people like, you know, some people have issues and they can't necessarily get like a GED or pass high school, so they're not be able to vote then. That's a big issue. I think everyone should be able to vote. So that's one of the reasons why for a fixed age. I think, again though, I have to say the more and more I think about it, I think maybe single digit percentage 16-year-olds would actually vote. For the most part. And then I think what would happen is somebody would figure that out. They'd rig it and they'd find out, how do I just trick 16-year-olds out here? Because no offense, but yeah, like if somebody was devious and just wanted to kind of try to manipulate young people, you can always do it. But Donald Trump manipulated people in their 50s. You can manipulate people when they're 16. And, you know, then they'll probably come back and reverse it. So it's one of those things where it's one of the things about laws I always love talking about. There's no offense to anyone. People have this very kind of finality sense with laws. If a law is written, it is over. And it's like, this is what generally happens. There's a law or a lack of a law, and then something happens and people say we need to either change the law or implement one. And then it goes back and forth. So, I mean, I think we could try it out. I don't think lowering the voting age to 16 would end democracy. You know, I think there might just be a couple, maybe 7, 8, 9% of 16-year-olds. No,
but it would contribute. So. It would contribute more towards mobocracy.
But not really, though, because to be frank,
I mean, not really. 16-year-olds can't think straight. I mean, it's really funny. One of our super chatters.
Hold on 1 second. But you can think straight 24 months later. Like, yeah, young people in general seem to be more impulsive than older people.
That's what I'm saying. There should be a civics test.
And what if you can't pass the test for other cognitive reasons?
People in our chat here.
I know, but I'm saying, legitimately, what if for other cognitive reasons you can't pass the civics test? You're just not able to vote? You cognitively are not, because right now, I mean, if you're over the age of 18, even with some cognitive abilities, you can still vote.
Actually, that is an interesting point.
Yeah, but you just, sorry, dude, you have some like developmental issues. You just can't vote anymore.
Well, but here's the deal, though. Like, if somebody is incapable of filling out a ballot themselves, you're not allowed to have somebody else in the booth with you, unless I guess you'd have to have a declared disability, and then you would have.
No, but there's a gray area between just not being able to complete certain. There's people that like necessarily don't have any like issues with intelligence, but maybe with just like test taking formats they struggle. Like it's complicated. I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just saying it's one of those things where, like when you actually start running it through. Yeah, what about that couple percent, i.e., hundreds of thousands of people? What do we do with them? It's tough.
Okay, the hand's about to come down. No. Cooper interview?
Yeah, we'll finish at one of these podcasts. Maybe if you guys want to keep an eye out on podcast after next, we'll finish this video.
So our communities, and so what we need to do is we need to turn the clock back.
I don't know when that
is. We need to bring the old jobs back.
When do you want me to
we need to build a wall.
Like go forward.
And I'm saying we need to do the opposite.
Another
we should include parenthood and motherhood because
skip
they're so
this
important. And the third thing he said was that we shouldn't include military year. That's not an economic sacrifice. That's actually an investment in our future.
Us that moment,
the same thing if there's a teacher who's doing great work in the classroom, instead of them saying you're a cost, say actually the value they're creating is massive because they might help 30 kids that year develop and become stronger.
Yeah,
so if you change your measurements, you actually can reorganize our economy.
As a whole,
and we have to do that because
the jump
artificial
from 4
intelligence
to 8%,
coming
that's
going to be very,
100%
very tough to compete with on the numbers.
I was just talking to the Gateses, and one of the things
that's blowing my ears out. Is it coming out on a live stream super loud?
Hope not. Please let us know if anything's too loud, guys. We'll definitely make sure. Again, this is the big part of the stream tonight. We're just trying to hang out with you guys and get a feel for our levels and stuff. So please let us know anything. Don't worry, we're not going to take it the wrong way.
Okay, so Mike K says a voting test might as well be a poll tax.
No, I mean, I agree because guess what, dude? Wait, if you have to take a state, that's actually a great point, man. It's something I want to point out.
Wait, but Lord Dragon Smitty says I'm 26 and I don't know SHIT about anything.
Again, but that's the tough thing, dude. That's one of the things about voting. It's one of the reasons why I kind of like, even if you could argue 24 months, you could push it up. I do like where it's at 18. Like I said, realistically, I think it's one of the things that young people are always more passionate about, and I understand it, but it's just one of those things. I mean, I'm not very old. You're not very old either, but Jesus, once you get past a certain age, you realize like years aren't that big. So when you're young, it's like, oh my God, 2 years? I remember when I got my driver's license. I got to wait 12 months till I could legally have people in my car with me. This is an outrage. Now I get my registration. I'm like, I got to pay for registration in 12 months. That's right around the corner. So I think it's just one of those things that young people are passionate about because to them, it's a long time away. I remember in 2008, I was like 16 or 17. And a lot of people my age wanted to register to vote for Obama. I thought it was really cool. It would have been cool to vote for the first black president. And Obama was just kind of a it was much more appealing than John McCain anyway. He was the one young people were going to vote for, if anyone, and we couldn't, and it sucked. But then but then I'll say 2010 came very quickly, and it was 2012 before I knew it. So I don't know. That's kind of my opinion on lowering the voting age to 16. I just think 16 to 18 is just splitting so much hairs. I do get the point of young people saying, hey, like, that's 1/16 of my life so far for a year. It's a long way, but
hey, I agree with Patel. He says don't argue something that's not relevant to the video you're playing.
That's a good point.
It's confusing.
But I keep waiting for what you're talking about. Like I said,
just turn it up. It's coming up.
Important to us. Make a lot of sense to the American people. Put more money in the hands of families.
But if there's this American scorecard where how you treat your kids and what time you spend with your kids, the educational outcomes of them, how does that impact anybody's?
Look, he's bamboozled.
As a society writ large.
Well, so the first thing is at the State of the Union every year, I would actually report on how we're doing by the real measurements. I'd be the first president to use a PowerPoint deck and say, look, here are the actual measurements for how our kids are doing, how our environment is developing, how our mental health is. And then you can actually invest and try and make resources.
But look at Anderson's reaction coming up.
Trying to tie corporate incentives to these measurements. So that right now, if you're a big company and you decide to do something positive in the community, it's just PR. And then you say, look at this great stuff I did. But if you can then demonstrate, it's like, hey, I made these kids demonstrably stronger, then they can
only a man with a capitalist background, Yang, could even be saying this right now. Keep going. You press pause in the wrong moment.
No, I didn't press pause. If anyone needs any evidence, I don't know how to use that.
65%,
there
which is,
I forgot when you click off it.
Parental time,
number
of words read to the child.
Guys.
Like, you have to get resources into the family to actually change the kids' outcomes in a meaningful way in many, many cases.
Yeah.
So, but
actually, it brings up a funny
I think
point.
all you're saying is really interesting. Look. If you are president, what does that actually look like? I mean, what then are you actually
going to do?
Yeah.
I mean, these are real questions from Anderson.
Very straightforward for me to go
like,
down
I mean,
he's interested.
He is actually interested in not getting on to the next talking point. He's dumbfounded.
So we're going to update
not
it
dumbfounded,
to the American scorecard that includes these other measurements that are
his next reaction
just make a lot of sense.
Tells all the story.
Who stole the GDP line in the chat? I forgot one of the candidates just stole the GDP line.
Kids and what time you spend with your kids, the educational outcomes of them. How does that impact anybody's life?
Behavior in life.
As a society writ large.
Well, so the first thing is at the State of the Union every year, I would actually report on how we're doing by the real measurements.
Skip up. Sorry, guys.
I'd be the first president to use a PowerPoint deck and say, look, here are the actual measurements
in
this debate.
Oh, wait, no, go back before. Just the last
direction, and our health and well-being
this is amazing. Watch.
are heading in another.
I feel like I understand only about a quarter of what you're saying, but I find that quarter incredibly interesting.
Oh, good.
Yeah, so I'm just acknowledging my own stupidity and your intelligence.
Pete,
I know others have a question as well.
No, well, I'm interested in the automation.
Oh, okay, well, just pause right there. I mean, all joking aside, yes, that's a funny thing for
really first question he gets after automation. Interesting.
Yeah, but let's really stop and take a look at that. For example, Anderson Cooper is not gushing or fanboying right now. Okay, it's not like Michael Moore just came on and I love Michael Moore. He literally was dupified because Anderson's a leftist. We all know that. He's big for the establishment Democrats.
I do think
all of CNN.
I want to give him more credit than others. I think he does the more. I've seen Anderson go against what would be considered the crony media orthodoxy more than others. He'll say, hey, no, this is actually wrong, guys. We shouldn't support this. I don't love him, but I've seen him do more than others. I'll give him that.
Okay, that's fair. That's a very fair analysis. Anyway, you can see this is
in action. That's a good point.
Yeah, but you just see that his brain is working, trying to ingest this new information, intrigued by it so much so that his guard is down. And to do that to somebody like Anderson Cooper means that you have to actually be an out-of-the-box thinking person. And I think that's actually hilarious that he says, I only get about a quarter of what you're saying, because obviously he's getting more than a quarter of what he's saying. Right. But it just shows you how unique he is as an actual candidate. So anyway, now I sound like I'm fanboying. But
no, but it's true. Like, I have to imagine, dude, think about it. Think about you're sitting down at a desk, you're Anderson Cooper, it's 1 a.m., right? It's 1 a.m. So you've spoken to Kristen Gillibrand, Cory Booker, Joe Biden, Kamala Harris. Remember all these people? He's talking to these people.
Yeah.
These phony politicians. Hey, how you doing? I'm doing great. Yeah, so the debate was very good for us tonight. And it's just kind of like he knows the answer he's going to get as he is asking them the question. And then all of a sudden someone
And he already knows how enraged the audience is going to be because his Twitter feed has been blowing up.
But even then, it's just like, oh, yeah. So when I asked Cory Booker, I said, yep, ask him all this question. Yep. I asked Gillibrand this question. Yep. And then all of a sudden Andrew Yang sits down and he's like just asking him these questions that you notice are kind of off the script a little bit. Like, well, talking about this, like, what do you mean? Like I said, the next question coming up, some guy just says, hold on, I'm interested. What are you talking about automation? Like, it is these, you could definitely tell the breath of fresh air. Cause dude, I do believe, like, you have to remember, like, well, I feel like it's easy to look at some of these reporters for publications that write things we don't like. Because, oh, this reporter, yada, yada. These are employees of a company. CNN, ultimately, they give Anderson probably more leeway than others, but like, he knows who they like and who they support. He can't just go on TV and rail against his bosses, you know? I hate making wrestling references, but how'd that work for Vince? Oh no, sorry, one of the wrestling promoters. I just blew his name. He went on television and said, "I dare you to take me off the air," and they took him off the air. So you definitely have to understand these people are employees of companies, and they only have so much editorialization. So I thought it was cool. You saw Anderson. Someone said it was like getting Yang pilled in real time. Of like, hold on, yeah, wait, politicians can talk about issues like this. Yeah, no, we can actually solve these problems. I thought that was so cool to see in real time. That was really cool.
Oh, it's hilarious. Draco says my head hurts. Chank thought Inslee won the second debate. Really?
Well, hey, do you guys really quickly? I think I have it up right now. I'm trying to find another story, but I can't find it. Because I believe I saw a picture that said that it listed everything every candidate spoke about in their time to talk. And I believe it said that Andrew Yang didn't say anything about women's rights, even though he was point blank asked a question about the wage disparity, which women and addressed it. It was like he didn't say anything about it. Like, well, I agree, maybe he shouldn't need to, but like he did. He was actually asked a question and answered the question. It was one of the few he was asked. It was really funny to see. I'm trying to pull it up so I could show you guys. Like, what is this? What do you mean he didn't say anything about it? He was actually asked a question directly about it.
Yeah, and I also thought it was really funny that nobody has actually...
Oh, how about this? Yang had more Trump mentions than Gillibrand.
Oh, interesting. Well, that was because it was baked into his opening and his closing
and
statement.
Gillibrand literally started the closing statement, Donald Trump. I have to say, anyone who asks us, I have to revise my answer. The cringiest moment of last debate is when everyone got an opening statement and Kristen Gillibrand opens her mouth and just goes, Donald Trump. Like, oh my God, how is that? Why would I vote for you for president when you're talking about our current president? Why should I vote for you? I know none of you like Donald Trump. That aside, why should I vote for you? And all I hear is Donald Trump. Yeah, but also, if any of you guys have seen, I'll try to pull the number up. Jesse Ventura, Yang's VP. He could, well, how about this, though? People were talking about this. Here's a good question for you guys in chat. We were talking about the show earlier off camera about how much wrestling and politics intersect, but Yang should have a female VP. So what female wrestler should be Andrew Yang's vice president? Put that in chat. We'd love to hear it.
Yeah. Also, Mike K says, I wish Yang dropped a truth bomb on the crowd about the wage gap. I'm interested in what you think about the wage gap, because
around it.
This 70 cents on the dollar wage gap myth is the most debunked pseudoscientific theory that's a political talking point and sledgehammer used by the Democrats out there.
Also prevents it prevents what the actual issue is from being addressed when you promote a phony issue. The actual, it's not even an issue necessarily, but
so I'm curious what truth bomb he was asking for. If he was asking for the truth that the 70 cents on a dollar is demonstrative of natural differences between men and women and not an overarching patriarchy, or if he was just hoping the traditional talking point of men are bad, women are good, and they should get paid more. So just chat us back. Let us know what you were thinking there. And then also it says, dang, it won't let us donate to the channel. Oh, yeah. You can donate to the channel at problemsolverpolitics.com. It's direct on PayPal.
I'll post the link again, guys. Sorry.
Yeah, we'll post the link again. Thank you. Those donations actually really, really help.
Yeah, and sorry, if you guys do donate, sorry, please put something in the description in the comment if you like, and we'll read it on the stream and answer any questions you guys have. We try to answer all your questions, but admittedly, the chat does move kind of fast sometimes, so it's a great way to make sure.
Yeah, and this screen is like 3 feet from my face. I want to preserve forever that quote, "You guys are the best unemployed millennial in a garage."
We are both millennials.
But we're both millennials. Definitely not unemployed. But anyway, so I am intrigued by the ripples that Yang's performance is creating, and honestly, how all of a sudden he's getting attention. There is no reason that young Trump supporter would approach him about the ombudsman theory and idea that could be misperceived as censorship. I don't.
Never mind something.
If you all of a sudden have the young Trump YouTubers going after you to try and figure out if you're going anti-free speech with this ombudsman idea, I did not sense that was his attempt. I think, just like he said, we're coming into the era of deep fakes. Yeah.
He did pull it down. That is,
he pulled it down because
hold up. I do want to make sure for anyone who missed this. I have to say, we have obviously. I mean, we literally. I've donated the Andrew Yang's campaign. We make videos promoting Andrew Yang and telling people why you should vote for him. I have to admit, if this becomes a trend of him pulling policies off his website, kind of, I don't want to say, flying by night, but I will say that is disturbing to me. It's not something I like to see. I would prefer it was something he was, maybe I missed it. I'm going to give him that. Maybe I missed it, but I prefer he would address head on. You know what? This was something I had on my website. I had legit criticism brought to me on it, and I removed it. I could have missed that. Full disclosure. That's out there. Please don't hate me too much. I just missed that. But I will admit, guys, if it's something we see more and more of him just yanking things off his website proposed without saying anything, I don't like seeing that. I'm not going to, take my money back, so to speak, but I don't like seeing that. I would prefer that he would continue what he does.
Hey, can I address some of these super chats? Mike K clarified his position.
Super chats, unfortunately,
not super chats, chaps.
Well, hold on. I want to check one thing else.
Yes. Bro, I'm going to lose the... Okay. Oh,
write them down, man.
Oh, I can't write them all down. So they clarify the wage gap. That's understandable. Thank you, guys. Christian. Also, UBI doesn't solve global warming. Well, that's a total different topic for a different day.
It doesn't. Yeah, that's a good point. It doesn't, but...
No, but I think really it's going to help towards a cultural shift in our country that gets rid of some of its consumerism, and it's consumerism that is causing not global warming, because in the 70s we figured out that it's not global warming and we rebranded it as climate change. And now there's all the scientists down in the Arctic that are arguing that it's global cooling, while the scientists in North America that are funded by leftist organizations are arguing that it's global warming. And nobody can figure out which way is up, and they're all claiming that they're correct in the name of the science, in the name of science, sorry. But at the end of the day, all of us know. I'm a surfer. Okay, we're here in beautiful California where there's multiple national parks, gorgeous. And all of us can agree that conservation of our natural resources, pure drinking water, and beautiful parks that we can go visit that are in their natural form is what we need to go for. That over 60% of the world's forests have been cleared by humans in the past 2 millennia without ever getting rebuilt, and that 44% of the world's wildlife has been destroyed just in the past 44 years. Okay, so I mean, that's not necessarily climate change. I prefer either the general term of environmentalism or conservation. Okay, but anyway, let's keep going to these comments here, Cody. I want to respond to a couple of these really fast with one sentences, hopefully. Dang it, they're already up so fast. These guys are cruising.
Hold on. Honestly, man, I would recommend go on your computer and hop on real quick, and you can read the chat from your end.
Oh, gosh. You know what? Yeah, you're right.
And you can save chats. Sorry, dude. Like I said, we feel bad whenever we mention
that was
comments.
So boomer of me right
if
there.
If there's anything, like I said, and you guys absolutely want us to read, please donate. It's much as $1. We don't care. Just it's an easier way for us to sort out comments so I don't lose them. So yes, please. So anyway, while he's doing that, so a couple things I wanted to address from... one thing I wanted to address is something I saw. I honestly don't even want to pull up the actual email itself. It's kind of a little bit too... I don't know. Some of the language in it... I'm not a big language police guy, but some of the language in it was pretty bad. Anyway, though, somebody wrote a critical article about Andrew Yang, and somebody wrote an email to this author. Some of you guys are familiar with it. And it was just full of, like, very... awful, offensive, mean-spirited language, which, I don't think this person should be in prison, but I do think someone mentioned, like, look, this is not what the kind of, like, the Yang movement's about. And I agree with that. Like, the whole, sending death threats to journalists thing, I was really, I mean, to be frank, though, dude, as much as it sucks, I hate to break the news to anyone, but it doesn't matter who you support, somebody who also supports the person you support will send a death threat to a journalist because they wrote a bad article about your opponent. We saw it happen with Andrew Yang, and I have to admit, I was surprised, but I realized, like, yeah, like, people get riled up, so I would love to see... I mean, for the most part, I don't know if it's actually an Andrew Yang supporter, right? It could be someone who's pretending. It's such a weird thing, but just, I don't know. I just kind of wanted to say that. I wanted to address that. I saw that posted, and it just kind of made me, not happy to see, for the most part, about... something like that. Oh, also, I want to show one thing real quick.
Sorry.
I want to show one thing. There's a guy, he's at Jif Shinobi on Twitter. We've spoken before. He's a really cool guy. He makes these Andrew Yang GIFs, GIFs. We already had this discussion on stream, and I already forgot how you pronounce it. Anyway, he posted one today I thought was particularly funny. I just wanted to highlight it on the stream, give him a shout out, because he's a cool guy, and I like the... I'm a big fan, actually, of Sam Neill, as a matter of fact, but especially the Jurassic Park film. So there you guys go.
Okay, so there's a couple of people here that said a Tulsi Gabbard ticket would be unstoppable. You had mentioned, would it be a Gabbard Yang? The person had commented that a Tulsi Gabbard Andrew Yang ticket would be unstoppable, and then you had commented, but which one would it be? Tulsi as president or Yang as president, because one's got to be commander-in-chief. And you said there's an interesting argument going around online about who would be the better commander-in-chief. And obviously,
policy-wise, yeah, Tulsi would be commander-in-chief based on policy. She's way stronger on that kind of stuff. The thing is, vice president doesn't get to do much, right? So it is an interesting thing. You could say that Tulsi could be viewed as just like a highly valued. I mean, we talked about the video we published today. Richard Nixon was about to pass UBI, and one of his advisors came and said, "Hey, maybe you shouldn't." So maybe Tulsi would be that highly viewed as an advisor of Yang, or even as the president, he'd basically defer on her to stuff. So yeah, that'd be a good ticket. The thing is, though, is like it's not a ticket that's going to get necessarily Democrats out to vote. Independents, disillusioned Republicans, people that are kind of exhausted, oh my God, yeah, that's like the dream ticket. But it really is kind of sussing out how big of that like Democratic vote. Because, I mean, to be frank, like you could say you're Republican or Democrat. We see it in California. People say they're Republicans, don't vote. So, like, really, are you Republican? Same with Democrats. A lot of the Democrats who could say they're Democrats who wouldn't vote for candidates they don't like. I think it's dumb. I think Andrew Yang and Tulsi Gabbard actually represent the future for the Democratic Party. Candidates like this. Candidates that embrace kind of new media, candidates that embrace different ways of thought, candidates that embrace not being so hung up by labels. They attack Andrew Yang all the time for basically not being as interested in labeling political opponents and labeling his support as others. And it just kind of drives me crazy where it's like, I remember Andrew Yang was actually the first person to come out and say, hey, the Antifa attack against Andy Ngo was wrong. Which is so funny to me. It's like, wow, there's the classic line from Eric, the Eric Andre show. I'm going to butcher it, but it was like, you said it was so controversial, it's so brave, something along those lines. Because, people say stuff that is not controversial, brave at all. And so it would be, who would be the official White House podcast interviewer? Well, at the Andrew Yang rally we went to in Los Angeles, he said that he would do the next Joe Rogan Experience from the White House if he was elected. This is the stuff, though. Like, you hear about it, and people like us, a lot of people like that are in our chat, I'm sure people like us that love this kind of stuff, to us, it's like, oh my God, it's the best thing ever. But you gotta win a nation of voters. How do you win you gotta remember, like, this is one thing I always like to kind of like talk to people on both sides of the political aisle when stuff like this happens. There's a lot of people that are like, for the most part, like kind of for gun control and for stuff like that. But then you do realize Dick's Sporting Goods actually took a hit when they stopped selling guns because that market exists. So you have to be careful not to just write off, like, I don't understand what they're thinking, so just forget them. Like, to win a presidential election, you gotta empathize with people. You gotta figure out what people believe. I mean, watching some Donald Trump videos from 2015, just thinking, because the election's coming up, right? And candidate Trump's next. People forgot about candidate Trump. They saw President Trump for a couple of years. Candidate Trump's next, and he is a big, loudmouth guy who can make people laugh, and that's not to be underestimated. So we're trying to think, like, who's the Republican that's going to bring that back? The Democrat's going to bring it at him. We saw a funny exchange between Donald Trump and Jeb Bush, where Donald Trump basically didn't say anything. He just laughed at Jeb Bush and said, if I wanted to do it, I could have.
Dude, fashionably
and he won.
Straight.
It was crazy.
Fashionably Straight is back saying, I'm UBI curious. Stealing that. That's hilarious.
Oh, sorry. We have a donation. Got to read donation.
Oh, holler out the donation really
Thank
fast.
you, Michael. He had a note. Hey, guys, thanks for the great discussion. What are your thoughts on Yang receiving flack from media outlets and opponents and move the latter? Do you think they could say anything that could hinder his campaign? As of right now, I don't see that silver bullet against Andrew Yang out there in the media. There isn't. And also, to be frank, there was the Access Hollywood tape against Trump. And this is a fun experiment. A lot of people were so critical of Trump supporters, but ask yourself, what would come out about Andrew Yang where you would actually say, not related to policy, not related to politics, where you would say, I withdraw my support? What would it take? What would be the thing he would have had to have done in a private video? I think that, because to be frank, I like Andrew Yang a lot, and I'm such a policy guy where I'm like, dude, you could have killed someone for the most part. Like, my friends get mad at me with sports. I'm like, as long as he's not in jail, let him play. Same with presidents. Like, as long as there's nothing to convict him for, if he's got good ideas, let him run with them. But ask yourself, what would be the thing? If an Access Hollywood tape dropped about Yang, would you say, I withdraw my support? I think it's a fun experiment. It's interesting because it's always easy to say when you look at a guy like Donald Trump you don't like and say, oh, I would never vote for that guy. But what if it's Andrew Yang and you like him because his policies are great and he's personable and you think he has good ideas? It's a good question, right? Like, what would be that thing you would say, that's a bridge too far, I can't support him?
Well, here Andrew Carter says, could you guys talk about his foreign policies? He seems very shallow on them. And then later on, further down, a couple of people suggest, that's why he needs to team up with Tulsi Gabbard because she's obviously amazing on foreign policy, at least from an anti-war standpoint, which I think would be a very interesting
He's big
ticket.
on veterans, though.
However, I do have to say this was a criticism that we have maintained. In the first debate, they said, oh, hey, Andrew Yang, we're going to ask you a question about how America should engage with China.
Yeah.
Because you look Chinese.
Yeah, he's the closest one, I guess. So
you know, and you look Chinese, so you must know, which is A, either an insulting question, or B, a stupid question. And C, the truth is, in this instance and in this way, I should say, Andrew Yang actually kind of reminds me of Mitt Romney. In the first debate that Mitt Romney had against Barack Obama, he did not come across very well. Sorry, not the first debate against Barack Obama. I mean, the first debate against John McCain with all the other Republicans in the primaries. He did not come across as very knowledgeable on international affairs. He came across as extremely knowledgeable on what? Domestic affairs, because he had been a governor in Massachusetts. But he didn't come, Massachusetts, sorry. He didn't come across as an awesome policy wonk for overseas ventures. But let me tell you, he took a crash course and he must have read from Beirut to Lebanon. All right. Because by the third debate, he was absolutely crushing it with the best of them on that stage. And I would be curious to see if Andrew Yang couldn't kind of do that, because as somebody who had followed the Romney the Romney candidacy closely.
The Romney presidency, short-lived.
Yeah, short-lived. Now all he does is rag on Trump. But anyway, yeah, and go door to door in Utah saying hi to people because he's a senator there. But anyway, I did find that. I wouldn't say disappointing, because what could you expect out of somebody who's not been in Washington or in foreign affairs for that long? However, if you are asking to become all of a sudden the leader of the free world, you have to know about that. And that is an advantage that the swamp creatures and the people that actually are inside of the Beltway and have been in politics a long time are heavily advantaged in. I mean, Hillary Clinton walking in saying, I was the Secretary of State. I have sat at the table with the leader of Saudi Arabia, or I have spoken with the leader of...
Sorry, I just want to let you guys know we're talking Tulsi. One second. As of 2 hours ago, Tulsi has officially hit the donor threshold for September debate. Just wanted to let
Well, she hit the 130,000
donors. She just needs polls now.
Donors. Now she's short 3 polls.
Hold up. Oh, my God. Look at the screen.
Okay.
I remember during the debates, a lot of you guys were talking about one of the most kind of notable features of Tulsi Gabbard, which is a very attractive woman. Tell me if you think that was the best picture they could have grabbed of Tulsi from the debate. Do you think when they were going through like their pictures of Tulsi, they're like, oh yeah, this is a good flattering picture of this woman we should use? I remember people accuse CNN or MSNBC of like photoshopping a zit under her face, but I mean, like it's just like, why use an unflattering picture of someone? There's no way you have no other better picture. It jumped.
You know, people rag on her, but AOC's hot.
But I'm talking about that. Look at this picture of her. It's just like, really?
Yeah, no, it looks like she's cringing.
It's like her eyes are half open. In general, with anyone. Because let me tell you something. Somebody, maybe they were busy. Somebody sat behind a desk and went through probably 5 or 6 Tulsi pictures and said, that one's good enough. Really? That one's good enough? It's just not fair. I mean, Tulsi gets hammered by the media. To be frank, honestly, when it comes to Andrew Yang, the Hill's actually pretty fair. But it's just funny to me. I'm like, really? That's the picture you use where she looks like she's like about to sneeze and yawn at the same time? Like, it's just really kind of weird to me that... Because this is what weirds me out the most. I don't know if this is true or not. The evidence seems to be there. They actually did Photoshop a pimple or a blemish onto the face of Tulsi Gabbard in the first debate. Or not Photoshop, but something was wrong with the cameras on her face. The allegation exists, which is enough. Nobody accuses them doing it to Joe Biden. And it's just weird. Like, it's just so crazy to me. You find someone who's just like an attractive woman who's successful and actually has a legit chance of running for president. And they want to take her down by her looks. They won't even attack her policy. She's an Assad stooge and let's post bad pictures of her. It's like, come on, man. Like, it just... If there's any better way to highlight they don't want to be honest, is there a better way of highlighting it? How about we don't want to be honest and just showing an intentionally unflattering picture of someone for no reason? That's just kind of like, we don't like being honest. Nah, we're done with that. I'm not going to take the 35 seconds to find a picture where both her eyes are open. This has nothing to do with like men or women and she's hot or whatever. Human beings. If Joe Biden had one eye open and one eye, it's just like, are you kidding me? You could find a better picture. I don't know. This is more me just going off on either someone not taking their time or kind of throwing in a dig. It's either didn't care, saw a picture of Tulsi, didn't open it past the thumbnail, oh crap, she looks bad, don't care. Or I'm going to find a bad picture of her. Because if you're just being honest with yourself and you have 4 pictures to take, that's really the best one you could have picked. I don't know. I'm done. Sorry. I apologize. I apologize, chat. But that was just one of those things where I'm like, come on.
So it looks like Shannon really liked my comment about AOC. And Tom says, please tell me Cody is single.
No comments.
With heart eyeballs. That's just for you, big boy. That's for you, big boy. Anyway, what are our thoughts on Kamala? Luis asks us. I got to tell you, I live in California. And on my terrestrial radio program, because she was a prolific tweeter that was putting out so many talking points that were so disingenuous, I had actually started for a couple of my terrestrial radio shows on my weekend show, a Keeping Up with Kamala series that kind of mocked, obviously, Keeping Up with the Kardashians. And my biggest criticism is I just find her completely disingenuous. I find her as somebody so hungry for power that she will do the worst things capable of somebody in power. And I believe political power is, you can call me an idealist, you can call me not sensational, but call me a utopian person, but I really believe, just like the Greeks believed that charisma is a gift from the gods, I believe power is something that is to be wielded responsibly and is a great gift to be given to a man in order to improve his society, and he has a moral duty, man or woman, to improve their society with that power instead of enrich themselves or glorify themselves. And there's two types of leaders in this world. People that want to help their community and recognize, not in this world, I should say, there's two types of leaders in America. In our republic that is democratically elected. People say we're a democracy, but we're not, we're a republic. There's two types of leaders in our republic. Those that look at their community and want to better their community and recognize, I need more authority in order to do this. So I will run for office so I can become the leader that can better my community, that can tackle these hard issues, that can bring better water to Flint, Michigan, that can bring better education to Alabama, that can restore jobs in the Rust Belt, that can clean up the beaches on the Oregon coast, okay? And then they run and they're authentic and they come across as authentic. And us millennials actually really identify with them because one of the number one things that we look for in celebrities and in candidates is authenticity. And those types of leaders, yeah, just like Cody calls them beer candidates. That's why George Bush won. More people thought that he would be a fun guy to sit down and have a beer with. And to a certain extent, in the Anderson Cooper video, you actually see more of a man who's just sitting there intrigued by another guy telling a story at a bar than I'm the great Anderson Cooper of primetime and I'm interviewing another candidate. So anyway, there's two types of politicians inside of our republic. Those that need more authority in order to get good things done, and those that want more authority and are willing to use the people and the system around them in order to get it. And let me tell you, Kamala Harris is one of those people.
Accepted.
So this is one of my favorite personal moments of Yang from the campaign.
And I said, challenge.
We're gonna get dismonetized.
Accepted.
Let's talk over it. We're on a monetize anyway. They won't monetize us. They're dragging the
And
feet.
I
But watch,
said,
guys.
challenge fucking accepted.
My mother watches this channel, Cody.
That was just at the debate, man. That was such a great moment when he did that. People loved it. It went over so well. And because it felt, I'm sorry, I just wanted to interject and say it felt organic and real. And this is one of the most organic or real moments I've seen from him. There's, of course, the like, now this video.
Challenge fucking accepted.
Tenzin says
Back
Kamala D's nuts. Kamala D's nuts.
Dude, Kamala. Hey, speaking of, man, like I said, another person who does Yang videos had their channel actually temporarily suspended for making a critical video of Kamala Harris, and that's not right. It's not right, but hey.
Interesting. This is an interesting comment from KNA Why Me and at Hi-Fi. I don't even know what that is. But he says Yang can redefine what it means to be a Democrat. I'd claim that label finally. That's interesting. I mean, that's a very interesting quote. So anyway, yeah, Cody?
I'm sorry. I just, once again, I hate to interrupt. I know I'm doing it too much. You guys say it in chat, and I bother myself when I do it. I'm doing it anyway. Anyway, I just got to give a shout out to David. $20 donation, David. Thank you so much. It's the biggest one of the night.
David who?
Not like reading last names because people want us to read last names. But David, You know who you are, David, and thank you. We appreciate it very much for $20. So again, the biggest one we got tonight. It's still every time we see it, it means so much to us. Thank you guys so much. Anyway, back to you, man. I just want to make sure we give a shout out to David.
Awesome. Thanks, Dave. Or actually, I don't want, who knows? Maybe he doesn't go by Dave. So, David, you're a stud.
He's biblical.
Anyway, so they asked us what my opinion is on Kamala. And I mean, Kamala, just from day one, I mean, everybody knows her escapades with Mr. Brown, who is the leader of the Democratic Party. how she slept her way into some of her first positions, and Kamala just absolutely crapped all over her with stats that we all knew here in California. The scandal of Kamala Harris keeping prisoners basically in jail to be used as cheap labor in order to abate forest fires. There was literally
highest search spike she had was when people looked and said, "Is that real?" It is.
Yeah, no, it is real. I mean, it was this big scandal that erupted, but unfortunately here in California, we have single party rule. And part of the reason why I would not take the Democratic title anytime soon is because that may work in other states where there's split government, okay, and maybe Democrats are more reasonable. But here in California, it's crazy. It's single party rule. It's like Bulgaria behind the Iron Curtain, okay? And any of our any of our statewide elections always end up being 70-30. No good Republican men ever want to even try and attempt to run for any statewide offices because you can't close a 40% gap. You can close a 4, a 10, or a 14% gap, but you can't close a 40% gap. It's an absolute waste of people's money to donate, which only makes it so that the Democrats don't feel incentivized or under pressure to produce better candidates, and everything just settles into this crappy Soviet corruption. And one of those bad corruption scandals was Kamala Harris. Literally, our state was worried about, would we have enough manpower to fight fires? And when you drive along the freeways here, you will see entire crews on the side of the freeways clearing the brush, okay? Those are generally inmates. And they're inmates that are paid at about $2, $3 an hour.
They love it, dude.
It's part of a work release program, so they get at least come out of the jails, you know? And oftentimes, if they're on good behavior and they work, they'll get an early release, especially if they have, you know, nonviolent crimes and so on and so forth. So there were all these men that were eligible to go back to their children, their families, to go back to their rehabilitation clinics, to go back to their jobs and begin paying off the debts that they incurred while in prison. And Kamala Harris said, no, we got to hold on to them because the state needs more manual labor, okay, in order to help fight fires. And that is why the Democrat Party in California is so dangerous to me. Literally, that phrase right there, that an attorney general did not let free men go because they needed more manual labor, sounds like something out of the South in the 1870s. Sounds like something that Mao Zedong would do.
It's like literally like they say it all overused. It's like literally Kafka-esque. Why am I in prison? You got to work. But I'm free. Yeah, I know you got to work. Like, it's like literally just like, what is the state doing? It's just making me work for why I'm free. No, you're not.
And
Sorry.
that is Kamala Harris. I mean, this woman, a government imprisoned a man who is eligible to walk free and become a good member of society is against every moral code out there, except for, I don't know, some secular atheist code, you know, but it's against every moral code out there. Yet she was willing to do it and do it repeatedly. And the crazy thing is everybody thinks California is super liberal. But sometimes we have just like crazy conservative laws, especially in terms of prosecuting. We had a vicious 3 strikes policy that was horrible for a long time. Yet now we let all nonviolent offenders leave our jail systems. Oh, and by nonviolent offenders, we mean people that got arrested for stabbing their spouses to death, but it got pled down to something smaller, so we let them go. You know, California is a crazy state when it comes to criminal enforcement, and unfortunately, you really don't know what you're going to get. In the Ninth Circuit, you might get treated better. But up in San Francisco, they'll let you get away with anything if you're connected. I mean, literally, they will.
More than San Francisco. Anywhere, they'll let you get away with anything if you're connected.
No, the northern districts are far worse than the San Diego district. San Diego's very conservative.
Okay, but define connected. Like, I mean, dude, like, for the most part, if you know people, you know people. It doesn't matter what the political establishment is. You know people.
Okay, everything Tulsi said was true. She will keep a man in jail that shouldn't have been there in the first place for a nonviolent marijuana crime. She didn't push to have the men, once weed was legalized, she didn't push to have men that were on multiple year sentences for weed released, which, as a total law and order guy that totally thinks, hey, there is crime and there is punishment, you need to be accountable for your sins. I'm sorry. I think if we've all agreed as a society that something's decriminalized, that the people that are still in there, as long as they're, you know, not a danger to society, should be let go, because we have uniformly agreed that this is no longer a crime. Okay? So anyway, we keep going. Oh, excuse me. I got to get a cough drop here.
All right.
Does anybody have an archive history of his website? I'd love to see that change log. You can actually go, I assume you're talking about the media ombudsman. You can actually go onto
I posted our video in the chat. If you guys,
go onto our video.
I think in our video we just show a picture of it. You can probably go to Wayback Machine. I have to imagine
Light and Life. I want to talk about Light and Life.
Oh, please do. Yeah, I just I'm really quickly gonna try to scroll up and see if I could find that video.
So Inga Jeffrey says Kamala comes off as Trump 2.0. That's hilarious. I actually kind of agree.
Dude, to be frank, I hear Kamala say things on stage about like law and order and crime and stuff, and I'm like, dude, if a Republican went on stage and said that stuff, oh my God, like there would be hit piece after, and the Kamala just goes on stage. Dude, when she's on stage with the smug look on her face laughing, we don't need to build more schools, we need more prisons because I got to lock my door at night. I'm just like, that's crazy. You're just like saying that? Oh my God.
Okay, so here's 2 comments here that I really want to go over that are extremely interesting. Light and Life says, suggestions for Yang, and I love this suggestion. Time to drop the phrase, the opposite of Donald Trump is an Asian man who likes math. I actually agree with him. I hate it when Andrew Yang says that.
But it's like a catchphase. Like
that might work in the SJW.
Proverbial elevator pitch, right? Can you give me a better elevator pitch on Andrew Yang than that?
Oh, yeah. I think you should talk about the robots are coming. And we got bigger problems than Trump.
This whole thing, like,
look, I'll tell you this right now. I have almost no sympathy for the anti-Trump ticket because I don't think it's correct, and I'm sick and tired of this pseudo-religion of anti-Trumpism, orange man bad, that is literally driving us into an inability to have conversations about anything because all leftist SJWs want to do is find out whether or not you voted for Trump first so they know whether to throw a brick at your head or listen to you for 2 seconds. And they're psycho, and they represent the worst of what happens to the human mind when it goes tribalist. And this idea that you would make your elevator pitch tribalistic based off of identity, that the opposite of Donald Trump is an Asian man that, I'm sorry, skip straight to the math, skip straight to the UBI, skip straight to the robotic apocalypse.
Yeah. More policy-wise, like the opposite of Donald Trump is somebody who like wants to actually
And then Wolf Lover, I'm curious where Wolf Lover's from. He said, universal basic income won't work. They tried that in my country. I'm curious if you're Finnish.
Or was it Finland? God,
Finland tried UBI. But I think the problem why UBI didn't work in Finland is cultural. It's a problem with the age and the culture of Finland that is completely different than the age demographic and the culture of America, because we have close things to UBI, such as the Alaskan pipeline dividend that gets out every single year. We are trying now, and in our 2nd month of the Stockton, California UBI, California is doing its own Gavin Newsom sponsored $500 a month UBI in Stockton, and we're closely monitoring that. Wolf Lover, it's interesting. I'd love to have you follow up on why you think this didn't work. It says they gave everyone money in Spain. I would really like to see a link to some of that data so we can study it, maybe even make a video about it. Of course, then again, if you're arguing about the Spaniards, there's a lot of other cultural things that might make it so that UBI doesn't work in Spain. I mean,
like what?
It was the first.
Like what cultural things that make UBI not work?
La siesta. Okay, I lived in Argentina for 2 years.
People still work there. Like maybe they have different. Actually, I was talking about
dude, the American work ethic based off of the Germanic Puritan.
It is different. I know.
Ideal of purity through hard work is the reason why we won World War II, bro.
Okay, whatever. That's a bit. Again, you found it. You did it. You found a way to work World War II into this discussion. Every discussion, you find a way. I just marvel at it. Sorry. One last thing, I just want to give a shout out to a Melissa. Thank you for $5. Let's change our profile pictures to say Google Andrew Yang. I love it. All this grassroots stuff. Oh my God. Someone tweeted me out something the other day. I want to try to pull up real quick. But like I said, guys, please go to PSP Radio 1 on Twitter and let us know of any kind of like you see like grassroots movement Yang Gang stuff. I want to highlight a couple things. I'm going to try to pull on Twitter right now.
Defong, do want to ask why is Biden still leading? Just because it's still a popularity contest.
Name recognition mostly.
And it's just name recognition.
And dude, people, I do think part of it is a bit of a, I hate the word indictment, but they're saying like, look, we are not happy with the current Democratic Party, bring Obama back, and that's the closest thing.
Okay, so Danny V. Botch here said, yo, check Yang's Twitter. He has just picked his running mate. I don't know if that's true or not.
Hey, we'll find out right now. I'm pulling his Twitter up right now.
Anyway.
Hold up, guys. I want to show you Andrew Yang's running mate real quick.
What is this a joke? Is it a meme?
No, it's not a joke or a meme. This is actually really serious. It's actually Zach's Twitter account. You know, he's Zach is the campaign manager. So this is serious stuff, guys.
Yeah.
You want to take the?
Zach's good looking, man. He's got a future in politics. He's like the next JFK. He's like a millennial JFK.
Okay,
go, Zach.
Anyway, we got to make sure we take a good look at Andrew Yang's vice running mate. See if he wins.
I know who I want as my running mate, and it is. Hey! Pete Buttigieg won. Was it the person I was thinking of? We'll never know.
Pete Buttigieg.
How about this, guys? Do you think Pete Buttigieg was who he was hoping it was going to be? Is that who you think Yang was hoping it was going to be his vice president was Pete Buttigieg?
Dude, that is just hilarious.
Do you think it's Buttigieg? I have to say, I don't. I think I've talked to people recently who said like, oh, what do you think about Buttigieg? Like, he's like a really smart guy and stuff like that. And I didn't want to. To be frank, I'm not gonna say he's not smart. He's from all accounts, he was like in the military, he's doing pretty cool stuff. I'm not gonna denigrate him, but I was just like, nothing Pete Buttigieg says makes me go, oh, cool, wow, I want him to be president. You know, I'm like, okay, yeah, he seems like a decent guy, but there's nothing about him that makes me jumps out as like that guy's a president. Andrew Yang has got this. I have to admit, he doesn't have that force Obama had behind him, where I feel like I want to see Yang pushed and not just kind of like laugh and go, haha, yeah, but you see, I've kind of thought about the numbers, and have to just not just say I've thought about the numbers, because we were talking about this. I don't have the video, but I swear to God, this is something important, guys. I want to bring this point up. We were watching a video, and it was from the, I think, second or third debate on the Republican primary last election cycle, and Jeb Bush has asked a question. And there was polls after the second debate. I'm going to show the real clear aggregates. There was one that was released targeted after the second debate. You know what, guys? I was thinking of doing a video on this, but you know what? I'm just going to throw this on stream. We'll talk about it right now. Maybe we'll do a video later tonight or tomorrow for you guys. This is the morning consult poll that was released right after the debate. It was actually, like, if you look at the dates taken on this poll, it was 8-1 through 8-1. So this is literally just a reaction to the poll. So Detroit debates deliver meager returns for Biden's challengers. Do not believe this is a qualifying poll, guys. This is Politico and Morning Consult. So it's like, so round 2 of Democratic debates does little to change voters' minds. And you know what? I think that's the best way to describe that debate is we were kind of struggling for really big takeaways at the end of the debate, because we were like who said what? Like, yeah, what was the big takeaway from this debate? Someone brought up, they didn't even bring up gun control, which is a big part of the first debate. Like, what they just kind of, no one really said anything. Yang had a couple really big moments that helped him. Yeah, and this is, I think I think there's no clearer sign that the Democratic Party lacks leadership right now than seeing people like we were talking earlier. I don't think Cory Booker's cut out to be president yet, but there's things about him we like. I know a lot of people who say, look, like, Pete seems like a smart, rational guy. I like him, but he's like, this is where a lot of times I feel like people misunderstand leadership. Dude, leadership sometimes is taking someone to the side and saying, look, Pete, you do have a future in this party, but don't run for president now. Or going to Cory Booker and saying, look, man, we think we can cut you out into something big, but this isn't your time. You end up with 20 people in a race when there isn't this mentorship to come to people and say, look, you're a young guy. And having a loss on your record right now, look, you're going to do good in the Senate. I mean, this is something, one of the things I want to get across. This is something I saw big time happen. Ted Cruz was a laughing stock at the end of his run. Ted Cruz is like one of the most universally well-liked Republicans now in the Republican Party. He was a laughing stock.
I don't know if I'd say well-liked. I would say respected, because people have
people like bearded Cruz.
They like bearded more. Even BuzzFeed liked the beard more.
And then we have the rest of the data. So I want to get to some of this data.
Like, I wouldn't say that I like him, okay, but I would say I respect him. Does that make sense? There's a difference between liking and respecting. But anyway,
well, no, but I do think he's done things that are like, he's done some cool stuff, right?
Oh, yeah, he had a really great idea, really great tax plan, because, of course, this is the unfortunate part about the media, and this is why I didn't want Andrew Yang just participating in identity politics, is identity politics prevents conversations about good ideas. And just like Andrew Yang's UBI and the freedom dividend is a really good idea, the tax plan that, who's the senator we're talking about? He fought Beto O'Rourke. Come on.
Ted Cruz?
Ted Cruz. There we are. I was already forgetting the name.
Ted Cruz?
Ted Cruz's tax idea of literally just having a postcard and a simplified consumption tax, similar to Huckabee's old plan before he went off the rails, was actually a really, really good idea that nobody talked about because we were too busy talking about whether or not his father was really Cuban enough for him to be American and all this other junk.
Well, that's why the media does bother me. The fact that people brought that up, and for Robert O'Rourke, the most Irish guy I've ever seen, who speaks sort of Spanish, dude. Because something.
His Spanish is horrible. As a bilingual man, I will tell you, it's horrible.
I don't want to out Cardin too much, but something a lot of you guys might not know about Cardin is that he actually lived in South America and is a fluent Spanish speaker. So living in Los Angeles, where a lot of people speak Spanish. It's always hilarious.
Me and David Pacman speak the same accentuated Castellano dialect.
No, but the funniest thing is we'll walk into a place and a lot of people see this big white guy walk in and he'll say a few things in Spanish. And I'm sure a lot of people know a few lines of Spanish. It's always funny to me. You can see the moment people realize like, oh no, wait, this guy actually just like a fluent Spanish speaker. He doesn't just know like the patronizing, hey, how you doing? What's up? That's all I know. And it's always funny to me. No one ever really expects it from him, but he'll walk into an establishment and start speaking fluent Spanish. People will kind of realize a few lines and like, oh wow, this guy actually just speaks Spanish. Like it isn't like some like patronizing white person like, hola, di amigo. It's like this guy actually speaks Spanish, and it's always funny to me to see. I always get a kick out of seeing it happen.
Yeah, it is pretty. It's actually pretty fun seeing their faces too. And then what's really funny is I've had multiple Latinos, especially the older women, that really, really like it. That, there's this young white guy that speaks Spanish. Wait, that's impossible. No white guy speaks Spanish. Wait, what? And then the multiple times they'll say, wait, no, you just memorized this. Did you take Spanish class? And I'll literally say back to him in Spanish, no, I'm not saying something memorized. And yes, I did take Spanish classes, but I lived in South America. And then once I pronounced the city correctly, Buenos Aires, instead of saying Buenos Aires, if you actually say Buenos Aires, then that's when they actually, like, their face and their brains melt and they realize, wow, you're for real.
Laugh.
Okay. So anyway.
Hold on 1 second. Never mind. You're right. I'm actually struggling to get the rest of the poll pulled up. I just want to go over that poll. It was the most recent poll from the debate. Nobody moved is the biggest takeaway.
Oh my gosh, dude, look at this. Inga Jeffrey says, I could see him and David Pacman rattling off in Spanish. Actually, technically wouldn't be Spanish, but a dialect called Castellano. And then I just got dogged. I just got totally dogged. Let me see. Mike K says, South America is not sending its best. Cardin and Pacman. And I assume some are good people. All right, touche, Mike K. Yeah. Thanks for the vote of confidence, bro.
And it was South America, not Central, right? So he's correct. You were from You were in South America.
And actually, they weren't sending me. I actually served a volunteer service mission down there. My family is of Polish and American heritage, dating back to Clara Barton, the founder of the American Red Cross during the Civil War. And actually, I am linked, not Elizabeth Warren style, but to local American Indian tribes. The Lewis and Clark expedition, and some not founders, but I should say some great whatever uncles on the Mayflower. So anyway, sorry. Look, I'm proud of my heritage. All right, bro.
Hey, everyone should be, no matter where your heritage is from. Born in the USA,
So anyway, what do we want to say to wrap it up, bro?
I can't download. If anyone can help me figure out why I can't download the morning consult poll data and it just shows up with a bunch of numbers, I'd like to see more.
PUA has asked this twice, and I meant to talk about it, and I apologize. If you could pull up, it's on Facebook. I don't know if you want to do the Zuckerberg thing, but PUA guy has asked, "What's your guys' opinion on Whoopi Goldberg endorsing Yang?"
Oh, I saw that. No, I saw that. She came out strongly in favor of dividend.
Well, yeah. I wouldn't say it's an endorsement.
Yeah, it's close.
But, I don't know if I'd say close. See, what Oprah did was an endorsement that wasn't an endorsement. She said, I'm not saying I'm endorsing Barack Obama, but I'm just letting you know I will be voting for this young man. Okay, that's an endorsement. What Whoopi Goldberg said, and if you can pull it up, she said, hey, this kid, and it's hilarious because she keeps referencing
She's
Andrew
like 20
Yang
years older than him.
as this kid. Well, yeah, I know, but once you're in your 40s, I think you're out of the kid,
I think it's an endearing thing to say.
Well, yeah. Okay. Had a white guy said it to somebody else, it'd be called racist. But
that's dumb.
Whatever.
I disagree with that. I think it's
I do too. I'm just pointing out the double standard.
Saying, oh, this young man here, that nice. What's wrong? What's wrong with saying that nice young man?
No, nothing.
That nice young man.
Things wrong with it. I'm just saying I thought it was funny. She kept calling him this kid. But I love Whoopi Goldberg. When I worked for NBC Universal as a backlot studio tour guide, I actually was gifted with the opportunity to do a couple of tours with her. Several of us tour guides got to get on to the tram and with all the press and with all the other people, actually complete a tour. Unfortunately, I wasn't the lead guide at that time, so I wasn't sitting next to her, but she is a really, really funny lady in person. and a very, very gifted entertainer. Sometimes I really disagree with her political stances on The View, but I do like her open-minded attitude.
Nobody ever picked up Andrew Yang's idea. This kid said, why are we not taxing Amazon? He says, this kid says, it's not my idea, please.
But I like that when she says it's not my idea.
If we tax these big corporations, you could give every American $1,000 a month. Yeah. I'm saying there's a great idea on the table that would work for everybody.
From the Yang Gang.
Listen, if it's a great idea, I don't care who it is.
So, can you pause it for a second?
As long as it makes sense. If you make sense to me.
I am the exact same way.
Crashing our computer. I can't. I'm just closing the video.
Yeah, just close it. But
Zuckerberg.
Zuckerberg using your native player. Actually, we should try and get Yang's opinion on Zuckerberg. He says we're entering the era of deep fakes. We should see what he thinks about Mark. Anyway, I actually wholeheartedly agree with Whoopi, and I don't care. I don't care who the idea comes from. I care what the idea is, which is the exact opposite of identity politics. Right now, we are so seeped. Millennials are sickeningly seeped in identity politics to such a degree that we say stupid stuff like, oh, well, I want my vice president to be a woman. No, I can't stand that crap. I want my vice president to be good. And if it is a woman, it will be a blessing because women bring natural benefits that are different than men to the table. There's a reason why in Hollywood, the script girl or the script supervisor
now, mister.
Yeah, was always female because there was just this universal recognition that women have better attention to detail.
That stuff. Yeah,
and we need to utilize this natural talent. But right now we're so steeped in identity politics that we think Kamala Harris good because female and African American, which is absolutely bass-ackwards. You look at the substance of her platform and her history, and she is draconian, the definition of draconian, okay? You look at Andrew Yang, and I'm not at all attracted to Andrew Yang because of his Taiwanese heritage. Who cares? He's just as American as me.
His gamer heritage is what attracted me to Andrew Yang.
Yeah, it was the gamer heritage.
He's got gamer cred, man.
For me,
StarCraft. I believe Brood War.
Yeah, for me it was the interplay between his capitalist and his humanity first ideas, which I feel very much represents my aura, my kind of being, my spiritual approach to politics. Now I sound totally like Marianne Williamson. But anyway, I'm just like Whoopi. She technically didn't endorse him, but she had an open mind enough to say, hey, if this is an amazing idea.
She's pro him.
Yeah, she's pro him. Like I'm pro him. And I'm the exact same way. If it's an amazing idea, I don't care who it's from. You know what I'm saying? It's like to a certain extent, you could say it about Donald Trump. Gosh, if I were an African-American youth trying to get a job right now, I don't care if Donald Trump's my president because right now, black, young, unemployment is at an all-time low. You know what I'm saying? So he's delivered on that. It's working.
That's actually one of the funny things. We talked about this earlier, but this is one of the funny things from someone who just I always do my best to read as much as I can from both political spectrums, like both right and left. And it's one of the funniest things I always see to me is Donald Trump's administration, because they always say like, yeah, look, black unemployment all-time low. That's something that people on the right who are critical of Donald Trump use against him. And they say, well, where's our wall? Where's our this? It's always just so funny to me to see how I always try to see what everyone's critique is of somebody. And it's really funny to me that criticism from Donald Trump of the right is that he's not doing enough, and the left was just doing too much. Yeah. I don't know. Like I said, what you can draw from that, I don't know. But just for people who don't read as much right-wing stuff to me, it always cracks me up when I see that. Where I'm like, really? That's your criticism of Donald Trump? Is he needs to do more stuff like this? I don't agree with that. I think he's doing enough. I think he's doing enough of too much. But it's always funny to me to see that there's this hardcore criticism that comes from the more right-leaning, the Ann Coulters of the world, for example, are very critical of Donald Trump. And it's always funny to me to see they were big for him, and now he's not conservative enough. And it seems like in office, they're never X enough. Even Donald Trump, to point out, is not quite enough for his own base. So I thought that was funny.
Okay. Also, we're going to wrap it up here pretty soon, but I did want to go over 2 more things. I thought it was really interesting. First off, if you guys want to be able to make a donation to the channel, we've had more people asking if we're going to have a Patreon or selling merch. The merch is coming.
Yeah, merch for sure.
We're considering Patreon right now, actually a direct donation through PayPal. You can actually sign up for a subscription, like $4 a month, $5 a month, something like that.
Yeah, I'll post the link to PayPal right now.
Yeah, that would totally help us out, create more content. And I love this comment right here by Julian Lowe. Idea politics versus identity politics. I actually think I'm going to start using that. And that would actually be a really good slogan for Yang, or really for anybody. In fact, no, I'm not going to recommend he does that. So when I run for office, I can use it. No, I'm just kidding. I'm not going to. My history is too dark.
Don't steal my platform. I'm going to run for office on getting rid of homeowners associations. I'll win the middle class. I won't win any other demographic.
I will run
only
on
win specifically the middle class homeowner. I don't care. I'll run.
Yeah, that's funny. I was about to say my platform will be no more traffic and cell reception everywhere.
No more traffic.
And all of a sudden,
more strip clubs, less traffic.
That's hilarious. That might actually do better than the UBI. Anyway, if you got any more questions, ask it away. We're actually going to finish here. We were supposed to finish 3 minutes ago, but we really just want to say thank you to you guys. You're a totally awesome audience. Please go to our Twitter account. If you haven't signed up for our Twitter account, please sign up, because on Twitter, oftentimes we're able to post memes. We're able to post announcements of things we're going to be able to talk about. We can post polls about what conversations we're going to be hitting. And if there's something you want to talk about or you want us to address, we can actually address it. And Twitter is where we go first. Okay. Second, also, Christian asked for future streams. Are you going to set up a super chat? Yeah, we're actually just waiting on Google on this. Yeah, Google is really dragging their feet.
If anyone knows any more about the AdSense and the monetization process, we've been waiting probably 7-8 weeks on our AdSense approval. People mentioned it before. Sorry guys, hate to say it. I'd love to run ads on our video if we could. We just cannot run ads on our video currently. So like I said, DM us on Twitter or email us. DMing us on Twitter. I'm on Twitter all the time. You're gonna find me there if you know any more, because that's the only reason. Otherwise, we'd love to have super chat for you guys. I hate having to send you guys the PayPal. I'd love if you guys could just do it right there and everyone could see it. But for right now, we're working through that. So that's what I'm saying.
So anyway, we're gonna wrap it up here. Thanks a lot for you guys' opinions. Thanks a lot for your donations. Big shout out to our donors today. Also, big shout out.
I want to read through the names again real quick.
Yeah.
If you don't mind. Of all of our donors. If
Melissa. Oh, we
here
don't
we
say
go.
last
So
names.
it was Joshua, Yen, Tua, Ryan, Melissa, David, Michael, Daniel, John, Daniel again, Paulie, and that was all, you guys. Thank you guys so much. It really means so much to us. We appreciate it so much. And it's hard to believe, but we love you guys. Thank you guys so much.
This is Problem Solver Politics. Idea politics over identity politics.
Yes. Have a great night, guys.